Give me that water, I need to fight it. Okay, I come get it like yeah.
Welcome to the Counterculture Podcast. Our podcast was created to help young adults hear a different perspective on relevant topics in today's culture. So hang out with us as we look at the world through God's Word.
Give me that water, I need to fight it. Okay, I come get it like yeah.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Counterculture Podcast. It's your host, Mitch, alongside co-host.
This is like a Michael Scott, Dwight Schrute type interaction. I am the host. You are the co-host.
Both co-hosts.
I am manager. You are assistant to the regional manager, Bob. What is going on here? You know, in fact, you're co to the host.
Would you like to begin?
No, go ahead. I accept that intro.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Counterculture Podcast.
You better keep that last part in.
It's your host, Mitch, alongside my co-host, my little junior co-host. Say your name, Pip.
I am Mitch's father. That is my freaking name.
My little co-host. He's starting out. We're taking his training wheels off this episode.
Okay. Well,
Episode 20.
Jeez
Wait,
Louise,
no,
dude.
19.
I have not even edited one episode. I didn't even know we were on 20.
Yeah, episode 19.
I wasn't even sure we released any of these.
Yeah.
I haven't watched
Yeah, they're
them.
online. They're out there.
Are they good? Do people like them?
Yeah, ish.
Okay.
Yeah, so today's topic, how about Eli?
Yo,
What are we talking about?
We're talking about one of the biggest events that happens every single year in America, highly publicized, highly anticipated, one of the largest marketing regimes for many of the Fortune 500 companies that exist, and that is going to be the Super Bowl. Whoa. And we're going to be talking about the Super Bowl, whether or not, anyways, we're also going to be talking about a halftime show, right? A lot of you guys probably watched it. Kendrick performed, to the public eye, to the naked eye, it probably just seemed like a regular performance. But to those who actually know what's going on, know that this was anything but a regular performance and that there was definitely some ulterior motives here and some petty stuff going on, like some really petty stuff. But truthfully, right, our goal is always to look at cultural topics and give you a countercultural perspective, a biblical perspective on them. And so we're going to be talking through kind of how we view these things. Should you watch? I mean, it's kind of funny. Like, there's, definitely households. I kind of grew up in a household of, like, turn off the TV during halftime. I don't know what you grew up like, but that was definitely my childhood a little bit, which is fun. We're going to go through stuff like that. And then we also have a specific request for me and Mitch to answer a question that somebody left us on one of our videos. So we'll be addressing that as well. I'm actually really excited for that. Should we end with that or start with that?
Let's end with it.
Okay, we'll end with it. So Mitch, Super Bowl X something.
Yeah, I don't
59.
know. 50-something.
59, I think. Did you watch it? I'm curious.
I watched up until after the halftime show.
Okay.
And
What was your thought of, like, the actual game of football that was taking place?
Well, glad you came to ask me about that.
Yes.
I don't care about any of the teams, but
Naturally.
if I had to root for one, honestly, it would have been the Chiefs, because I think it would have been cool to see a team break the record, the record for 3 wins
Most
in
Super
a row.
Bowls in a row.
Yeah, that would have been cool. A little
I
history to be made.
agree. That would have been cool. I'm not a Chiefs hater, like a lot of people are. I also, like, respect greatness. So, like, I want Patrick Mahomes to do well. Like, I don't know why people, like, don't want people to, like, be great. It's like, respect the dude. Like,
I don't get that.
I don't get that at all. Like, he's an incredible athlete. It does suck that he had such a horrible game.
Yeah.
But I obviously am from the East Coast, grew up really close to Philly. And so I naturally had to root for my Eagles. And Cooper DeJean, shout out.
Yeah, I do know him.
Yeah, we follow each other on Instagram.
He follows you?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he has some uncertified clothing. So definitely want to support the local. And fun fact, my little brother Titus beat Cooper DeJean in a 100-meter dash. There's a picture of it in the Des Moines Register.
Wow. Okay, Titus.
Yeah, and he just had a pick six at the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. Titus, that's pretty insane. My little brother is obviously cooler than me. That's besides the point. So, Mitch, getting into the game, were you excited to watch it at all or what?
I'm one of those people that watches the Super Bowl just to see the new movie trailers that come out during the Super Bowl, see what movies we got coming out, and to see the commercials, see what companies are doing creatively.
Okay, what were your thoughts on the commercials?
Not as good as previous years.
Really? Because I actually was impressed with the commercials.
Really?
There's quite a few commercials that I just was like, that was really clever. Like, I don't know. There wasn't any that were like, I get what you're saying. There wasn't any that were like, man, that's going to be remembered in history as like one of the best commercials ever.
Yeah.
I just feel like overall, like the few commercials I did watch, I really didn't watch many. The few commercials that I did watch, I just was like, wow, that's kind of smart.
Yeah, I remember thinking that in the moment, but there's not one I could remember right now.
Yeah.
Nothing
That's
too
fair.
memorable.
That's fair.
I remember some grandmas in a car or something. Whatever. But I also, speaking of the teams, I also, if I was a betting man, would have bet on the Chiefs because I just feel like with how much money Taylor Swift's made the NFL, that they'd be pulling strings behind the scenes to make sure they win.
For sure, you would think.
That's what I thought was going on.
I guess not.
I guess not. But
Which is good.
yeah.
Bro, you see her get booed?
Yeah, Taylor Swift got booed and Trump got applauded.
Yeah. That's about right.
A little culture shift there.
That's about how it should be.
I don't think 2016 there would have been a big applause for Trump.
You know, here's my whole thing. And I'm just curious your thoughts on this, and this can be a part of our discussion. What is, and I genuinely am asking this, what has Taylor Swift contributed to this society? No, I'm just like serious. And I'm not saying like everybody has to like solve world hunger.
Yeah.
But I like to think that everybody wants to have some sort of purpose and impact in what they do. And all I know is that every Taylor Swift song I've ever heard is extremely annoying to my ears and doesn't really have any powerful messages. Maybe I don't listen to enough Taylor Swift. Am I like just not cultured enough or what?
It's kind of a mystery to me as well.
Okay. Like, I guess my question is, what's the rave? Like, dude, I'm telling you, I could name, Tate, Sabrina, like I could name a quadrillion artists that are way better in sound, way better in talent, way better in lyricism. I mean, impact, meaning, maybe not. But like, I don't get the hype. I'm not a Taylor Swift hater. I might make jokes that I am. I just don't care.
If I had to guess, her fan base would be 98% women.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Young females. So I guess there's a kind of a cultish following for that.
Wow. I just love how God made us different.
I don't get it. Well, it's kind of like kind of like Beyonce. Like I think she's an awful artist, but she is one of the greats apparently. One of the biggest names.
Yeah. That's true.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Cultural shift for sure. That's definitely a wild thing that Taylor Swift's getting booed.
Yeah,
Trump's getting applauded.
That's actually crazy. Her reaction was funny.
Yeah, she was so perplexed. She was like, okay, so moving into halftime, kind of an anticipated halftime show. I feel like for people who are kind of cultured and know what's going on with the beef, Drake, and everything like that, I feel like I knew something was going to be intertwined. I knew the beef was going to be intertwined in the performance 100%.
Yeah.
Did you think so? Like, were you expecting that?
Oh, yeah. I was fully expecting him to do Not Like Us.
Yeah.
Because that song is literally what got him the Super Bowl halftime show. Like, Lil Wayne was supposed to do it. Did you know that?
Really? I had no idea.
Because he's from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
He's like the native artist there. And so there was kind of some drama leading up to the Super Bowl that Lil Wayne was mad that he got snubbed by Kendrick because Kendrick had such a big year with this diss track and this beef.
Wow. And they went, and everything's about numbers.
Yeah.
It's a numbers game.
So I was fully aware that he was going to do that song. because that's what got him there.
Wow. Yeah.
But apparently there are people that are like, oh, is he going to do it? Is he going to? Some people were theorizing maybe he won't name Drake when he does it. He did. Looked right into the camera and said, hey, Drake, I heard you like him young. And got the whole crowd singing A minor.
Crazy. I know. I've watched it. That's crazy. I mean, at the end of the day, my whole thing is, and we've actually talked about this before. Like, I guess, as a Christian, I mean, I expect nothing less. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. I will say this: it was definitely the most modest Super Bowl halftime performance in the last 5 years.
Yeah, that was
Jeez
awesome.
Louise, that was awesome. Like, I feel like, I don't know what the last couple of years have been, but I definitely have had to, like, look away and be like, all right, dude, I'm not watching this. Like, this is not healthy for my brain. So that was a plus.
Yeah, I think the Super Bowl halftime show was great.
I loved it.
I feel like
it was entertaining.
I think the consensus, just from getting a scope of the online reception, there's not very many people who take the middle ground. It's either they thought it was the worst halftime show ever, or it was like,
why do people think it was
great.
the worst? Like, what's the?
That's like a huge headline right now. Like, it's on mainstream media outlets. They're like, the overwhelming consensus, like more than ever, is like it's the most hated halftime show.
But is that just because? And this is what I've said though about Kendrick. Like, I got a buddy who me and him were talking at the gym about. Nick. Shout out Nick. I don't know if Nick watches these.
Okay.
But when Nick came to the gym with us, we were talking about Kendrick. He likes Kendrick. We were talking about how we like Drake. Like, I feel like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like mainstream media, like if Drake was on stage, more people are going to be like, yeah, I know this. I rock with this. I want this. Like, I feel like Kendrick's niche. So it always shocks me that he's like such a big artist.
Yeah.
Because, like, I really don't rock with his style. I know a lot of people who just do not rock with his style. So I'm kind of always like, who does?
Yeah.
Like, he's not a mass. Like, he's not Beyonce.
Mm-hmm.
He's not Drake. He's not Beyonce. He has his lane.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's the reason is because everybody who, I saw some tweets of people who are like, oh, well, everybody who was at home was rocking with it. All the people there, aren't cultured. And so that's why they didn't care about it.
Right.
And they're just sitting in their seats. So I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, the reception is weird. I have a love-hate for it because I do think, like you're saying, Kendrick doesn't really have the catalog, like the amount of hits to do a Super Bowl performance.
No.
Drake
he
does.
Just doesn't. And people who say he does, it's the cat. And people are like, dive into the catalog. It's like, what catalog, bro?
There's some huge songs.
Like, there's some huge songs for sure, bro. Drake, every song is a huge song, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like, geez Louise.
Yeah.
Streams wise, I'm like, what's the comparison between them? Is it even close?
I don't know per song. Obviously, Drake has more streams than Kendrick.
Yeah.
But, like, right now, Kendrick has more monthly listeners.
Right.
I mean, Kendrick has songs with 1 billion, 2 billion streams.
Right.
So he has bangers, DNA, Humble,
yeah,
all these things that he did. So I guess the most people would know those.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like, I'm hearing that the reception is no one knows what he's saying. No one knows these songs. I mean, except for, like, our demographic.
Yeah.
But for the wide, broad audience, no one knows what he's saying. They don't know these songs. They don't understand what he's doing. And then everyone was just waiting for the A minor part. Then, like, that's what everyone was waiting for.
Oh,
it's the
my
most
gosh.
watched Super Bowl halftime show of all time.
Yeah.
Over Michael Jackson by a few million.
Wow.
Which is ridiculous.
That's insane.
I think it's still more power to Michael Jackson that in that no social media era he was able to do that.
Absolutely.
But,
Absolutely.
yeah, very weird. And of course it's because of the beef.
Yeah.
Okay,
so let's take a look at this in two ways. I mean, obviously we want to approach this, and it might seem like it might seem like a silly question, but I think for a lot of people out there, it's not necessarily silly. I want to talk about, first of all, just the aspect of the Super Bowl sports, bro, because I feel like I'm in an interesting position, and maybe you don't have a lot to say on this because I don't know how much I mean, bro, you're not an athlete, bro, so let's not, right? I mean,
I'm very athletic.
No, you're not. We literally have a videotape of what happened when me and you raced.
I was winning the first half.
I just like let him get ahead just to see what happened and just turned on the Jets, absolutely smoked him. Well, you should.
For the
If
last
we have
5
that clip,
yards, yeah.
if we have that clip, I'm freaking playing.
You
it.
won in the last 5 yards.
You are stronger than me, though. Anyways,
Yeah.
so for Christians, like getting into sports, like having a sports team, I think all of that is okay. I really struggle with, and I kind of have a newfound perspective on this in like the last 5 years. I have a real big problem with people who kind of make their teams a part of their identity and who they are. And what I mean by that is just like, you know, you're always talking about, and I'm not saying you can't be into sports, bro. Like all my life, all I did was sports. All I did was hoop. All I did was travel the country. But I think when you take a follower of Jesus and you ask yourself, like, what should be the mark of a follower of Jesus? I think somebody who follows Jesus and is an ambassador for Christ should be somebody who, in speech, conduct, and faith, are reflecting Jesus' love, his character, and pursuing the things of God. And I think what can happen is when things of this world, right, it can be sports teams, it can be, you know, gambling. I mean, it can literally be the love of success. Money can be anything. When those start to become in competition with your faith or with God, I think that's where the problem arises. Right? Like for me, it's when, okay, like okay, I know somebody. I'm not going to give any details because I know somebody who their dad used to leave right after church. Like church would end, he'd go right home and he'd be pissed if he missed the kickoff of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you take that, like that's too far.
Yeah.
Like you care too much about a game, number one. It's a game. It's a made-up game where they throw a pigskin around. But number two, like you have to realize Jesus needs to be the one who's sitting on the throne and of utmost importance. And if something else is trying to steal your attention away from that, in my opinion, that is the devil. And I think that's what's interesting is I'm not saying that football is the devil, but the devil can use anything to distract us and pull us away from the things that matter most.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do think that in American culture today, we get overly hyped and consumed about things that don't matter. You know, I asked my dad before the game, I was like, how much would we be able to do for villages in Africa if we just canceled the Super Bowl? And we took every single dollar that was going to be spent. I'm talking the people buying the tickets, the vendor, everything. And we put it all towards helping refugees, feeding kids who don't, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it'd be crazy, right? And I know that that's not realistic because it would never happen, right? Because the world has the way it works. But it's a really interesting perspective to think of as Christians when we should have this eternal mindset. We oftentimes get fixated on things so temporary. I think it can blind us.
Yeah, I was seeing a video of someone going around to people at the Super Bowl asking how much they spent for their tickets.
Oh my god.
8 grand, 12 grand,
Wow.
5 grand.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's just a whole nother existence that I don't know.
Yeah.
I could
And
never.
like, I guess what I struggle with is, you know, the Bible in Matthew, it says, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And in my opinion, like that, you know, you take an example like that is a prime example of you have placed massive priority on this event, this thing that you want to go to. And then it does get really toxic because then we begin to like idolize people. And I've talked about this with like celebrities like Justin Bieber, Taylor Swift. You idolize these people as if they are more than human. Like these are human people who need Jesus just like we do. You know, and in all seriousness, right? We're talking about, you know, Cooper DeJean. Like I have had the opportunity to, you know, talk to some cool people. And they are just like us and they need Jesus just like we do. And they're broken and they're sinners just like us. And so for us, like put them on this pedestal, you know, a lot of people are like, oh man, imagine what it feels like. And that's something I want to get into too, is we're talking about football. When we get towards the end of this, I want to talk about Tom Brady. I think we've talked about him before, but I want to mention that story. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts when it comes to just the idolization of sports culture. And it's definitely bleeding into the way we raise our kids, the way we prioritize church versus sports for our kids. And I think it can be a very dangerous precedent to set for your family and for those around you.
Yeah, I'm always a advocate for less care about sports for Americans.
Yeah.
I think our pastor at my church does, well, both pastors do a good job at like often emphasizing like how much people care about sports over God, like especially in our area.
Yeah.
Like it's just a part of the culture.
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, for
especially
sure.
with their kids.
For
you
sure.
know, like
For sure.
idolizing their kids and their sports practices and everything like that.
Yeah.
And giving God 1/20th of the attention
Yeah.
or the praise or
Yeah.
the idolization that they give their favorite sports team or their kids' sports.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and like, you know, it's crazy. I had a conversation with a mom at the youth group that I'm a leader at. And they were one of those people that prioritize sports over church, like regularly. It was just like, oh, we can't make it. We have this practice. And I was like, I at one point I asked her, I was like, do you think that at the end of the day, you're going to look at your life, you know, you're going to be in front of Jesus, you're going to be standing for, I said, whatever it is, whatever perspective you want to take a look at it from. I said, do you think that you're going to be like, man, I'm so glad we went to those baseball practices, or do you wish you would have invested more into your kid's faith and into your walk with Jesus? And she literally just paused and was like,
nice.
dang. And
Yeah.
she literally just said, dang. And she didn't have any other words. She actually walked away.
Wow.
Like, it was a receptive, like, it wasn't like it was like, you're right. And I don't know if much has changed, because the problem is there's this status to uphold when you're a parent, right? Like, everyone else's parent is bringing them to the practice and them to the game. You don't want to get left out, right? There's all of these things. And I have a couple of thoughts on that, and this is a little bit of a tangent, but I think it's a good one. Number one, you're not that good. Like, my little brother was the fastest kid in Iowa. His junior year was the number one running back in the state of Iowa. He won the state championship in the 100-meter dash. He set the school record at one of the largest schools in Iowa in the 100-meter dash. He had one Division I offer and went to Grandview. They just won the national championship. And he might not go to the league. Like, he might not. I don't know what God's plan is. He tore his ACL this past year. But, like, pretty good track record.
Yeah.
Like, he beat Cooper DeJean in a 100-meter dash. Like, so we're talking about somebody who, like, best of the best, setting records, like, winning championships, Drake relays, and not even a sure thing for him to go D1. So, like, the fact that you think your kid has a chance, scratch it. Like, it's not that deep. He's probably not that good. And even if he does, God is so sovereign over all that. Like, if your kid really, if God wants him to play pro, like, he will bring the opportunity and he will allow him to play pro. But the last thing you want to do is idolize your kid chasing some dream that ultimately doesn't bring the satisfaction and the fulfillment that chasing Christ will. And so, yeah, I always have to say that, because I think people think their kids are way better than they are.
Yeah.
Kid probably sucks.
For sure. Yeah.
Not really, but you get what I'm saying.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I got nothing to add to that.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the other things we wanted to talk about, obviously, Super Bowl halftime performance. Drake. We already kind of went through the Drake and the Kendrick beef, didn't we?
Yeah, ish. I mean,
Ish?
like before on the podcast?
Yeah.
We didn't do an episode on it. No.
Really?
No. We talked about it in like recap moments of 2024.
Huh.
Slightly.
All right. Well, I'll finish off my little Super Bowl segment with the. So there's a Tom Brady interview. If you ever get the chance to watch it, it's really, really powerful. And you know, as you kind of think of like the height of people's career, like the height of people's life. I mean, you know, Cooper DeJean's a great example. The dude's a rookie. It was his birthday. He had a pick six and won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
He's younger than us, bro.
Cloud9.
Cloud9, right? And there was a guy who was talking to Tom Brady, and he asked him, he's like, man, how does it feel? He's like, you've literally achieved every dream you ever could have dreamed. You achieved every goal. And Tom Brady literally replied with, I feel like something's missing. Like, I feel like there's a void there that just hasn't been filled. And the guy's like, well, what do you think it is?
Mm-hmm.
And he literally responds with, I wish I knew.
Yeah.
I wish I knew what it was. And he said, I'll let you know if I find out.
Yeah.
Right? And Tom Brady loses his family, loses his wife, chasing a career. He ended up winning another Super Bowl. And I guess the question is, it's all for what? Right? Because we look at celebrities, we look at people who are in, those upper echelon circles. And the truth is, despite their success, despite their notoriety, the things that they have achieved, they have this lacking sense of fulfillment because they don't have the true fulfillment of life and of eternity, which is Jesus. And so I think it's just a good reminder, no matter what you achieve on earth, bro, no matter what level it is, if it's just graduating high school, being the first one out of your family to do that, or whether it's winning the Super Bowl, it's not going to make you, it's not going to bring the fulfillment you think it will. It fades, and Jesus is the one who's going to bring that fulfillment. But that's the end of my tangent. My Super Bowl tangent. Anything else you'd add?
Nope.
Bro, that's crazy, bro. Did you see that? That's unreal. What are the chances of that? Very high.
Be careful. You want to move on to the next segment?
Go ahead, bro.
So, guys,
Introduce it.
we always encourage you to comment on videos on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Shorts, our full YouTube videos. And if you have questions or something to say, we will typically respond to it if we feel like it's worth it.
This is a good one. I'm
So,
excited for this.
Yeah, we have a good comment on our most recent YouTube video. Shout out Nitro Drag Racing. Nitro Drag Racing. This is also, I'll just read the question. It's a bit of a long one. Hello, Mitch and Eli. I was wondering if I could get some advice from you guys, maybe in the next episode. My wife and I would love to have children one day. We are both 23 right now, and we're thinking of starting a family soon. However, first we need a house, and also we both work around 60 to 70 hours a week. We don't know how balancing work and a child will be possible. My wife graduated college and makes more than me, so she can't really quit her job. I'm interested to see both your perspectives on this. Eli, since you have a family already, and Mitch, since you are married with no kids yet, and your wife works as well. Let me know what you guys think. Also, Mitch, one time I saw you in a commercial, yada, yada, yada. Yep, I am in a commercial. I also act, shameless plug. But that's besides the point. All right.
Can you really call it acting, bruv?
Can you really call it acting when it's that genuine?
I do indeed want to be an actor. That is one of my dream careers.
Can you call it acting when you literally see yourself in the performance?
Can you call it acting when it's real?
Yeah.
It's just a question I have.
There's actors, and there's people that just
Exist.
embody the entity of a performance, and that's what I strive to do every time that I'm on a film set.
I could envision you as a stunt double in Dumber and Dumber. That's probably the type of movie you would play. I would be in like a Creed type of role. Maybe Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible. Something of that nature really just speaks to me. So, anyways, to address the question.
Yeah, why don't I hand that one off to you? I think you'd be very fit to answer this. I don't have kids yet.
Yeah. Okay, well, here, I need to also just look at the question while I'm answering it. So I have a couple of thoughts. Nitro Drag Racing. Nitro Dragger.
Nitro Dragon.
Nitro Dragon's crazy. So, first of all, I got to say, I applaud you for, taking the time to think through this. I really do. A lot of people just live life and make decisions without thinking anything through. And usually doesn't go very well for them. Yeah. So, shout out to you for, wanting to make good decisions, seeking counsel. So I really do appreciate the question.
And thanks for supporting the pod.
And that. First, we need a house. You don't need a house, brother. There is a difference between having a house and having a home. A home is a place where you create a safe space for your family. You create a sanctuary for, raising disciples and being a godly man, being a godly father, being a godly husband. The reality is we have created this idea in American culture and honestly, just in the Western culture that you have to have the house. And I've had, like honest conversations with Mitch about, similar topic, right? Like, do you have to have the house before, I just moved into my first house, and I was living in an apartment with kids for 2 years, and it was perfectly fine. Like, it was perfectly fine. Like, nothing was lacking. God was providing in every way. So let me just start by saying that, brother, you don't need a house. Sometimes renting is the best decision for a season. I think long term, renting can maybe not be the most wise decision, just because you're not building equity into an asset that is able to appreciate over time, right? But overall, renting is not always a bad option. You'd rather rent than be house broke. I probably had to spend, not that the numbers really matter, but I don't even know, probably close to 40 grand since moving to this house. Probably around there. So like, you have to have the income to support it. You have to have the funds to support it. And so it's definitely an undertaking. Now, I gutted mine and renovated it, so you don't necessarily have to do that. The other thing I'll say is, this is a tough one, man, because we have a different set of standards for the way that we operate. A lot of what America thinks is needed typically needs to be supported by two incomes. I am blessed to be in a position where I make enough to where my wife can stay home and I can buy a house and provide nice things. I would say there's trade-offs to everything. And so obviously, if you want to be able to have kids, you have two options. It's number one, looking at who can stay home. I'm not the biggest fan of the male staying home. People who know me know that I have that belief, and I'm not going to go into all of it. I have that belief for two reasons. I think the man is supposed to be the leader of the house, and I think when the woman is making all of the money and making all of the decisions, it's really hard for the man to have spiritual authority or presence, a leadership role in the house. It's like the woman is doing all this thing, bringing in the money, making the decisions, and then like she's just supposed to come in the house and turn it all off. And now, she is under his authority and under his headship, right? Which is all biblical. Not impossible. And I know that there are probably people out there who do it in a biblical way and they do it well. I just would say it's not ideal. The other thing is your wife graduated college, makes more than you, right? If her job and her income is good enough, you guys can always look at daycare. I mean, and this is the thing. I'm going to give you my opinions on things. At the end of the day, it doesn't mean it's right or it's wrong. It's just the way that I prefer to live my life. I'm not a huge fan of other people raising my kids. I want my wife, the one that I committed my life to, the one that I trust in their character. I want her to be raising my kids. I was raised in a household where my mom stayed home, and I place so much value on that, and it was so, I feel like, pivotal in my life. And I just have this bond with my mom that you just can't fabricate it. And so I'm not a huge fan of just passing the kids off to daycare, but it's an option, and I'm sure there's great daycares out there. And so that's definitely an option for you. I would say on the career side of things, at the end of the day, you have to figure out what am I passionate about, and what are some of my raw talents that Jesus has given me, and then what industry could I maybe pursue a career in. You're going to get an entry level. I'm not going to go all into, how to get into a position like mine or, X, Y, and Z. If you really are interested, I mean, my DMs are always open, so feel free. You can message me on there. But at the end of the day, I'm a big believer in taking risk and taking a commission job. I believe that you should make more the more you work and the harder you work. I like that. So I'd rather not work harder to make the same amount. So I'm in a commission role. I'm mainly commissioned. I did not buy this house off my base salary. So that's, I guess, on the career side of things. But yeah, I don't know. Did I even answer it?
I think so. There's just a lot of options.
Yeah, it's just so nuanced, bro. Like,
yeah.
I feel like I could probably talk about this for a really long time. I also just think, like, you have to determine what your priorities are, man. Back in the day, like, it didn't matter to like work up and move forward in a career. Like it was just like pay the bills, create a family, and that was what mattered. And nowadays it's just not the case. Like we care about the career, we care about moving up, status. And so you just have to determine, like, are we okay living on, chicken, rice, and beans? If that means that my wife can stay home and raise our kids, is that what she wants? Like, is that going to honor her? I would definitely say my biggest piece of advice to you is, if you're not, get plugged into a local church and seek wisdom and counsel from the elders and the pastors and the people who are leading that church. Because at the end of the day, I can provide surface level advice or my opinion on things, but somebody who's able to look at your situation, give you a true evaluation of maybe where you guys are at and what's going to be best for you, I think would probably be the most wise.
Yeah, definitely agree. There's a lot of options that you have. You just got to evaluate what's best for your situation.
Yeah, but I appreciate the comment, bro. Appreciate the support. Hey, if you're listening on Spotify or any of the streaming services, thank you. We do upload these videos to YouTube, so for those of you who are watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe. And honestly, guys, if you found this video entertaining, informative, or you just want to support the homies for no reason and you hated the video, please share it. That's the best way that we can get our podcast out to others so that they can hear about us. And yeah, we would appreciate it a ton. Don't forget, uncertified.co. This podcast is sponsored by Uncertified Clothing, a faith-based lifestyle clothing brand designed to create gospel conversations. And Music by Mitch on Instagram, coming out with a new song in March. Came out with a couple of new songs recently. Freeway, tap in if you haven't heard that. That is an incredible song.
Thank you.
I've been repeating that, John.
Let's go.
Yeah, facts. And that's all we got.
Yeah.
We'll see you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.